Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is 9:47 a.m. in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal, and yours truly is right here in our third and final coffee with yours truly, Dragon, Dragon Coffee with Dragon. And this morning, 9:48 a.m. in the morning, stretch before commencing. And of course, my main messages to ALL with consent and hygiene. My main messages, everything that I'm gonna philosophize, say in terms of art, artistics, my philosophies, my theories, my propositions, and my, of course, analysis or reading about the Israeli election because it's dedicated to the current ongoing elections. There seems to have been no clearer result. As of this point in time, the votes are still being counted in Israel. As it's 9:48 a.m. here in the morning in Hawk Island, Montreal. And of course, yours truly, the main messages with consent, mutual understanding, hygiene, and LOV, hug. HUG, 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 hug. Hug like you never hugged before today. That is the main primal. First and foremost, the main message is hug like you never hugged before today. That is the main message. To all my willing, loving allies and armies, pledge your allegiance, legions of my supporters, volunteers, and those who will to support, join, and support yours truly, Adrian Hunter Dragon's Dream, which is my dream for world peace, and the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which manifest to my proposals and call and call to implement my Trinity of theories known as the CIT Citizen Integration Theory, the Death Row Fusion Theory, and the Democratic Fusion Theory via the fourth dimension to implement that Trinity of theories. So that Trinity of theories known as CIT Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Death Row Fusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory to be implemented via the fourth dimension, and that fourth dimension is love. That fourth dimension is love. I'm gonna say sip of coffee. I'm gonna say thank you, love you, kiss you, big dragon hugs to the anonymous farmer. Since do not know the country of origin of this coffee, do know that it's dark roast, but do know for sure 100% without a doubt that the black coffee bean was made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun. You don't have to say in a mystical, spiritual, esoteric way as I do, but nonetheless, Mother Earth, the greatest scientist and artist, the black fertile Earth, planet Earth, with combination with the golden sun rays of the sun. Matter of fact, the black coffee bean contains, as all fruits, vegetables, and legumes and grains, XYZ amounts in percentages of concentrated sunlight, and that is a scientific fact, right? And a scientific fact, or the fact that the sun now rises and now sets and covers coast to coast all of Canada, USA, Mexico, Guatemala, Panama, Costa Rica, El Salvador, of course, Guatemala going down to Colombia, Bolivia, Venezuela, Chile, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, and the Surinames. So that is also a fact. And of course, as a universal spiritual teaching student who has questions, does not know it all, was many a lifetime, many different incarnations across different nations, from ancient Egypt by the Nile, as a Bnei Israel, as a child of Israel, of Jacob, Yaakov, Avinu, of Jacob, for Valorant Towers. Of course, keep in mind that that's 3,700 years ago. And there's a joke among the scholars of the mysteries and of Kabbalah and of the Torah, Holy Bible, and other spirituality of the world and Western civilization spirituality says, yeah, well, Moses might have overthrown the gods of Egypt, but not the chief ones. What? What do you mean? You overthrew them all. Well, not not the sun, the Chaim. So of course, in terms of spirituality, the body, my spirituality, sometimes it's simple, straightforward, and direct. I blame it of having been an Israeli in the past life, because the Israelis don't like to generalize, don't like to generalize, don't like to generalize. We all have differences and X, Y, Z, but I have a reputation for being rude. Well, it's not really rude. It's that a lot of Israelis are straightforward and direct. Like right now, I'm grateful, thankful for the farmer who harvested this black coffee bean somewhere in the world, maybe in Africa, Uganda, Ethiopia, or maybe even Ivory Coast, maybe in Vietnam, maybe even, of course, right here in Brazil, because it's the top exporter, Brazil, of coffee. So don't know the country of origin, do know the brand, and do know the amount of paid for it, and do know that it's a good cup of coffee, that is dark roast, and I'm thankful, grateful, and do know that I'm brewing it. It's still on the heat with clean, zero pollution energy, thanks to the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of Quebecers right here in La Belle Province, who built 63 dams, 63 dams across this La Belle Province for me, for you, for all of us here in La Belle Province, and plus 5 or even six states down in the northwest for us to utilize all this energy, that it's clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy, mother nature friendly. So this energy is environmentally friendly and is of course renewable. It renews every day. It is from the rivers, from the lakes and the Bay James. So thank you. Offer big dragon hugs, since like to offer more than blah blah blah, because blah blah doesn't only halfway. Sometimes we got to take some action and solutions for my own healing. And I admit, of course, I admit that I'm not perfect, far from it. I got some issues, got vices. I am, at certain things I am mediocre, at certain things I am average, at certain things I am so-so. While being so-so and average and mediocre at some things, I'm also great and excellence and super at other things, such as geopolitical analysis. A great, excellent geopolitical analyst and theorist, of course, who has made and designed back in October 2019 the great scenario. My workout as an independent athlete, the people's athlete, yours truly, Dragon, on this 9:54 a.m. Please, in the morning, buy, sell, trade stocks has been open for 24 minutes. Buying, sell, trade futures, options, puts, buy, sell, trade stocks, options, futures, puts, commodities, futures, puts, options on New York and Wall Street. Please give 10% of every million you make, 10% of every million, 10% of every million you make to food security, because everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street, because everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street, because everybody gotta eat, even Wall Street gotta eat, even I gotta eat. The next future prime minister, whoever might be, of Israel, which we're discussing the elections, also has to eat, whether it's Mr. Bennett, Mr. Naftali, Mr. Netanyahu, whoever it is. My Israeli brothers and sisters, as a co-prime minister, the only thing that I could offer is I would make every weekend there would be a pride parade, being part of the LGBTQ community, a rainbow dragon, and just say this primary word every day. I would say it 93 times, or how many times a day. How many words are in the Torah? Well, I know there's 5 chapters. How many words exactly? I think it's 600,000 something words, right? So every word, could I say 600,000 every day? I'll just sing morning, afternoon, and night. Nightfall. Ahava, 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 ahava. That's it. Plus kisses and dancing. Drakon, Harishon, Hadrakon. What does it say the words for kissing? We learned and we're gonna learn them today. So the word for kiss is, I'll say Achava, the word for love. As a prime minister, I'll march. I'll just offer hugs, kisses, and tickles. That's all. I always say hugs. I'll say hugs. I'll get hugs, kisses first. So kisses, that's what I would have campaigned with. Kisses, hugs, tickles, and marching, and just sing Achava, 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 rock, rock and roll style. By the way, this auctioning this shirt, this is an Israeli metal band. I'm auctioning this shirt because, of course, I am broke. You're still independent artist, independent activist, independent athlete, AAA, universal spiritual teaching student, blah blah. Is broke, but I'm open for business. I'm the world's greatest dancer, the people's athlete. You try to work out like our workout. As a matter of fact, to the next prime minister, I'm calling on the prime minister to try to do my workout. The next prime minister of Israel, to try to do my workout, encourage Israelis and all, as I encourage all my brothers and sisters, Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, because I am a Quebecer, North American. I'm a Quebecer, North American, Canadian, Quebecer, Canadian, North American, and I am, of course, the heart, a universal, got a universal heart, but I'm here on this Hawk Island, Montreal metropolis, and I can only do acts of goodness and kindness, and increasing acts of goodness and kindness. Increasing acts of goodness and kindness is my message to the world, right here from this Hawk Island, Montreal, in this underground room, office and temple to life. So if we kiss, what would be the kiss? Kiss would be K-I-S-S, kiss. Those kisses I got, credited from the goddess of heavens above, who sent one kiss to the goddess, her sister who dances with a brother below. One kiss, and that kiss converted, translated, transformed into 718 trillions of kisses. So kisses I got by the trillions. Anybody willingly loving ally and army pledge your allegiance, I can make you all kiss me in ears. Come in Hawk Island, Montreal, here in North America. Surrounded by a big river, it's an island of Montreal. You're still for my 93 gang, 93 code 93. To life. So kisses I got, so I can make all my willing loving allies and armies kiss me in ears. If it's not about love, and love is also action in my philosophy, not just blah blah blah. As my philosophy is an independent philosopher, independent psychological analyst and theorist, independent sexual analyst and theorist. Sometimes they merge together. Sometimes I psychoanalyze myself. I give myself a little slap. Don't worry about it. I'm not self-righteous, floating on self-righteous clouds. No need to spy on me. RCMP, CSIS. I'm androgynous, pansexual. And on the Sabbath of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which begins Friday at midnight and lasts until Sunday at about 3 or so p.m. in the afternoon, I do watch a little bit of POR and a little bit of adult movies and XYZ. So CIA, FSB, former KGB, MI6. Stasi's are gone after 1989 November. Mossad. Only to spy on me. I'm for legalizing cannabis and of course for the legalization of cocaine and for the legalization of pills, ecstasy pills, speed pills. And I am a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. And I'm grateful, thankful, and this morning my rent is fully paid. For November is November 3rd. So I have fully paid my rent. My rent is fully paid. I have fully paid my rent for November. Fully paid my electricity bill, and I'm crediting billions because I'm on all you can hug, receive, and give and receive hugs, kisses, tickles, and XYZ. I would love to have afford bacon every week. I'm on a budget, but I'm grateful I've afforded noodles, so I'm good to go for the whole week at least, for another week in terms of food security, because food security is important. So please, Wall Street, if you do make a million buying, selling, trading stocks, futures, options, put stocks, buy, sell, trade stocks. Black Hawk. Mr. Fink of Black Rock. If you do make a million on the stock market, buying, selling, trading stocks, options, futures, puts, options, buy, sell, trade, commodities, cattle, pigs, or if of course forex, bonds. If you do make a million on the stock market today, or if you have made a million on the stock market yesterday, or if you will make a million on the stock market tomorrow, Friday, please give 10%. 10% of the million is the equivalent to 100,000. 100,000 divided by 4 is the equivalent of 25,000. You can divide 25,000 into to give to 4 different causes, charities, and programs. 25,000 for food security because everybody gotta eat. You can give 25,000 for women's sports leagues because my sister's women's sports league, great WNBA, rocket. And of course, I am a man and I'm a woman. I'm a hell of a woman after midnight, especially on those weekends, dancing for the goddess priestess, you bet. And of course, yours truly as a we do acknowledge, of course, that there's no women's sports leagues, which makes even close economically, financially, commercially to what the aforementioned and patriarchal sports leagues. My brothers, please give to women's sports leagues in the NBA, National Basketball Association, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Please, I call it a heart. Food security and women's sports leagues. So if you do make a million on the stock market today, please give 10%, which is the equivalent of 100,000 divided by 4 makes it 25,000, and divided for food security, for women's sports leagues, for LGBTQ youth services, and for environmental causes, to plant a tree for every tree. Because I've lost economic, financial, commercial continuance due to being LGBTQ. It's not easy. And my brothers, it's not only calling the sea. A rainbow bro is perhaps the freest, bravest motherfucker in the motherfucking field. The play is open, took some courage and some guts to say, hey, I'm gay. I want to play. I love the football. I love gridiron. I'll be, you want me dragging on the field and go, get tackled, defense, offense, defense. We both love the game. We're both rainbow as well, part of the LGBTQ community. But There's not. It's, Kal Nassib is the only one who plays open as LGBTQ. Free lifetime hugs, kisses to Kal Nassib, and of course XYZ. I like to offer more than blah blah blah. So whatever. But, yeah, it's how many there are there. There's one on each team, my brothers, and no doubt about it. So for me, if I would be co-prime minister of Israel, I would have proposed this on my campaign. I would say Pride Parade every weekend. Yeah, I would dress in rainbow every weekend. I would just say Ahava, Ahava, and in the Hebrew word for love, Ahava means love in Hebrew, and Tanzen, Tanzen, Tanzen is Yiddish for dancing. Is Yiddish for dancing. Yiddish word for dancing. So that's the two main words that I would say. And then hygiene, wash your hands. Because please, my brothers and sisters, we have a public hygiene to think about. Because right here, I'm in my underground room, Office and Temple. I'm private citizen dragon, rainbow dragon. When I step outside, I'm no longer just private citizen dragon. I am also public citizen dragon. Right? An added dimension, responsibility, and obligation when we step outside, which is the public sphere. So when I step outside, please wash your hands, disinfect your hands with soap and water, disinfect your hands with soap and water, disinfect your hands with soap and water, disinfect your hands with soap and water. So we got a responsibility, an added dimension, obligation, or responsibility to wash our hands. When we step outside, an added dimension is the public dimension. We are no longer private citizens in our own homes, in our own private domains. Like, this is my room, this is my office, this is my temple. And serves as a fourth dimension to that trinity of this underground, literally underground room, office, and temple in my Hawk Island, Montreal. Sure, I do want something bigger to work out more, to have more space to dance, because it's small, room, office, and temple. But I'm grateful for it. My rent's paid for November. This underground room, office, and temple, right? Too. Of course, my underground room, office, and temple right here in this underground room, office, and temple has added a fourth dimension, Adrian Hanna Dragon. I has been a gymnasium on a fitness journey, lost more than 77 pounds. You can see hundreds of my workout videos, especially during COVID. I've officially turned the A of my surname into a no. Dragon became dragon, dragon became dragon. And of course, as I've completed 300 sessions of my own workout training program, of which I'm very, very proud to have achieved, attained, and now I'm doing everything. I'm doing post workout, post 300 workout, and I'll officially turn that A into, I know, into Adrian Hana Dragon, this androgynous pansexual founder of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is my dream, which I am calling all willing, loving to support in whatever shape, capacity, shape, or form they can. Morally, ethically, IT workers, tap tap, transcript yours truly's words, but of course with some, be mindful that sometimes I rap. When I start rapping, I'm gonna rap for the farmers, 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 yeah, rock, yeah, everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, farmers rock, everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, everybody gotta eat. Even Wall Street, everybody gotta eat. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, truckers. In those steel toe booths, the warehouse workers, loading trucks, load them up, load them coast to coast. DACA workers, DACA this, yep, with a pro labor, yam rainbow. So what, dodo, for the farmers, raise my cup, yo. So if you transcript this, blah 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 blah, put it, say this is freestyle rap for story dragon, for you're rapping freestyle underground rapper as well, to being an independent philosopher, independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, of which I am. Independent great, super excellent geopolitical analyst and theorist. While at the same time I admit that at some things I am so-so, at other things I am mediocre, at some things I am average. While being average, so-so, and mediocre at some things, I'm also great, super, and excellent at some other things. So it's a complementary, in a cooperative, complementary covenant way. Those two complement, and of course, complement. You have a shortcoming and faults, which I do. I don't play it self-righteous, even as a universal spiritual teaching student. Throughout many lifetimes, many incarnations, I was born actually past lives right here in this island of Hawk Island, Montreal. In a past life, I even helped Louis Cyr. Was born as a Quebecois, Berlin Quebecer in the past life, and I helped Louis Cyr push some horses on a cart. That's a memory I have for past life. Louis Cyr helping him push the carts on horses on a cart. J'ai dit Louis Cyr a poussé des chevaux sur une calèche. C'est pousse-moi ça, oui. Besoin d'aide, t'es Louis Cyr, toi, comment ça t'as besoin d'aide, toi, là, t'es Louis Cyr, t'es la personne la plus forte du monde. Fait que, tu dis, oh, j'ai besoin d'aide, les chevaux sont lourds, là, puis il y en a tellement, là, fait que, ouais, venir t'aider avec ça. So I went, I pushed the, pushed the horses on the cart with Louis Cyr in the past. As a universal spiritual teaching student, I say the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And how do we invest or even worship the body? Working out, training, and exercising. Working out, training, and exercising, working out, training, and exercising, and hygiene. Straightforward and direct. I am grateful. Sometimes I am straightforward and direct. I am grateful my rent's paid in full, fully paid my rent, fully paid my electricity bill, fully paid my electricity bill and rent. So good to go. I'm grateful for the fact that I'm utilizing energy which is clean, zero pollution, and emission free for the laptop, which I've plugged in earlier, for the smartphone when I go live on Facebook stream now, that it's clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy, and of course for the coffee maker that is utilizing clean, zero pollution, zero emission energy right at this moment in time. Does not pollute, does not pollute, does not pollute at all. So not only us in Quebec, but also brothers and sisters in many states, six, I believe five for sure, but might be six, might be six, might be six. In the Northeast, the Maine, Vermont, and New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, and even out to New York State, I receive clean zero pollution energy from Hydro Quebec. And think, let's meditate on that fact. Love you, work as a Hydro Quebec. Big hugs, big hugs, big hugs. Since 1944, when it was founded, Hydro-Quebec, so many people, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of Quebecers worked in some capacity, shape, or form. So 63 dams were built. How? By our brains and muscle, brains and muscle, brains and muscle. So it requires to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization, some brains and muscle. Yes, civilization has its discontents. I'm not making a reference to although it's a great book, Freud's book, Sigmund Freud, the psychoanalyst, philosopher, known for writing one of his books was called Civilization and Its Discontents. It's a great book, I have to say. It's a great book. Wow. It still applies in many ways today. I'm an independent psychological theorist and analyst, independent psychoanalyst, psychosexual analyst and theorist of a more Scorpio androgynous rainbow nature with some storminess in it, which I do have myself. Lust, I do have lust. I do have lust. You know, I do have lust. I admit it, of course. But I've been to depression. I've been suicidal. I've conquered depression. I've conquered depression. I've conquered depression. No longer depressed, suicidal. I want to live and love first and foremost, and love and do and do and do. And I am calling for the implementation of my Trinity of theories known as CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Death Fusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory. That Trinity of theories, the Death Fusion Theory has to come first and foremost, which I've explained in past videos and will explain again in a bit, has to come first, of course. So that Trinity of theories, I do believe at this point in time where we are, as a collective North American civilization, that's one of my philosophies and geopolitical theories, of course, that North America constitutes a collective civilization, the North American collective civilization, the North American collective civilization. And I do believe that it is best to be applied today, the Trinity of theories, the CIT, Death Fusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory via the fourth dimension. And that fourth dimension is love, as love is action. I just blah blah blah. Sure, it can be verbal, it can be expressed verbally, but I of course love to be complemented by action, by some deeds, right? Like to my willing, loving allies and armies, all I can do is perhaps kiss. Because kisses I got by the tree and some hugs and got some brain and some muscle with that. So brains and muscle is required for us to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization even now. And while we philosophers and thinkers, we think about solution. For example, what is now the big problem we're facing? Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans, and the world, inflation. Inflation. The question of inflation. What is basically inflation? If we dissect it, take all the tens of thousands of words we could put to construct the dimensions of inflation, straightforward and direct. Inflation is the loss of purchasing power, meaning that the dollar, whether this Canadian dollar or this American dollar, US dollar, buys less of the same amount of product, of coffee, of milk, of butter, of bread, right? Buys less. So the prices go up, the prices go up, right? So the value drops in terms of purchasing a commodity even service a commodity, or even service a commodity or service. Record inflation. There hasn't been inflation in Canada, U.S., and the Western world. The world. It's a world phenomenon, economic, financial, commercial phenomenon. Inflation. It's a world phenomenon. Hasn't been inflation in more than 40 years. Now, raising of the interest rates that I've been doing, and of course, I have to say it by the Bank of Canada, which is the central bank, that I am also paying at this moment in time the most interest that I've ever paid on my debt. And I'm in debt $10,000. You're in debt. There's a lot of people in debt. Solution, I believe, first and foremost, would all forget this dissect, not about be personal on just a personal level. Although I do admit I'm not totally selfless. I'm not totally for the other. I want balance, harmony, equilibrium. I wish I could afford bacon every week. Yes, I wish I could afford a massage therapy session every week. It's so expensive. I cannot afford it. Blah 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 blah. But at the same time, although I cannot afford a massage therapy, I've been craving a massage therapy session since COVID as I work out, train, exercise hard. The people's athlete cannot afford it, like the multi-millionaire athletes. Please, multi-millionaire athletes, give for food security and women's sports leagues and LGBTQ youth services and Mother Nature. Please, multi-millionaire athletes, give to women's sports leagues, food security, LGBTQ youth services and Mother Nature. Please, multi-millionaire athletes, give for food security, women's sports leagues and LGBTQ youth services. Please give 10%. Can you give 10%? As I'm calling the multi-millionaires to give 10% food security, food security, food security. And of course, my call, of course, to all to support the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is more now the more personal, or personal apparatus, because of course now I'm sharing with the public, and of course all my philosophies, my art, my analysis, my geopolitical analysis, my athletics is the people's athlete and everything that I do. But if I do will or choose, I can turn everything off now. Close the blinds, close the blinds, close the blinds, get naked and start dancing naked on Madonna's music, on Rihanna music, on Jay-Z music, or whatever type of music, jazz, rock, rap, and rock. Could put Israeli band. This is the Israeli band. This is an Israeli band from Israel, rock, hard metal rock. I can put them on, dance naked. My price for naked dance, Adrian on a Dragon, is for 1 hour, 1 million Canadian. It's Canadian dollars. Canadian dollars. 1 million for 1 hour naked dance. Blah 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 blah. Commission sponsored DM. Blah 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 blah. 10:15 a.m. in the morning. Grateful, thankful that my rent's paid, my electricity is fully paid, and I am calling for all to support the implementation of my Trinity theories, as I have been calling during COVID, as I've seen, of course, paradoxically, and this is the paradox, that my scenario, which began, of course, in October 2019, what I'm referring to is me as a geopolitical analyst, and again, you have to try to not, yeah, on a personal level, on the more on my what I'm advocating for, the philosophies, the theories, and their implementation, and based on my philosophies, right? Whatever guidance and whatever I do is working out, training, exercising, call for public hygiene. Please wash your hands when you're going outside, because we got germs, microbes, bacteria. We got germs, microbes, bacteria. We got germs, microbes, bacteria. So we need to wash and disinfect with soap and water when we are in the public. We need to wash and with soap and disinfect with soap and water when we are in the public. We need to wash and disinfect with soap and water when we are in the public. We need to wash with soap and water and or hand sanitizer when we are in the public. Please, please increase in public hygiene. Please, please increase in public. Please, please. Call it a heart, increase in public hygiene. I was doing a meditation. I'm gonna do a meditation now, for example. When I went to November 1st to pay my rent, right? Pay the rent November 1st. November 1st, pay the rent. 7 years I haven't missed one payment in my rent. 7 years I haven't missed payment. 7 years I haven't missed one payment in my rent. I'm calling after November 7th for a 7-year protocol program to implement my Trinity theories known as Genesis 33 verse 4 for a 7-year for an implementation of my DRT or 7-year program from North America, NATO member countries, Israel and beyond, whoever was my brothers and sisters in Africa, brothers and sisters in the Middle East, brothers and sisters in Central America, South America. I believe that DRT is best at this point in time to be implemented, my debt refusion theory. So the November 7th calling for a 7-year project for implementation as I go work out, train, exercise, and philosophize on Mount Royal, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess here in Hawk Island, Montreal. Mount Royal is that way, 7 kilometers that way. calling for the Genesis 33 verse 4 protocol for Israel to join the NATO and the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom dream, to join the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, join the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom dream, to implement my Trinity theories, of course CIT, death row fusion theory, DRT, and democratic fusion theory, in order for us, of course, to obtain and to create the UE, what I call the UE as I'm calling of the November 7th, the 7-year implementation of the Trinity theories, the CIT, the fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory via the fourth dimension love and the protocol Genesis 33 verse 4, which refers to those twins embracing and kissing. It's a verse there where two twins embrace and kiss. It's a verse there where two twins embrace and kiss, and could refer, of course, abstractly to NATO member countries and Israel, NATO member countries, and Israel, NATO member countries, and Israel. So North America is a Quebecer, North American here, Quebecer, North American, Canadian, philosopher, independent artist, independent athlete, independent activist, AAA, plus other dimensions, athlete, activist, artist, activist, whatever, in whatever compendium you can put it, in whatever shape, form you can mold it. Sometimes I'm an athlete when I work out, train, exercise, the people's athlete. I've been him, and you can check hundreds of my workout videos, of course, where I dedicate my workouts and for many years now to the farmers, to the butchers, to the truckers, to the grocery store, because I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. What does that mean? That the universal revolutionary centrism I firmly believe, as I am a world peace advocate, but also a geopolitical analyst and theorist who, I do advocate for world peace. I also, my philosophy, my psychological teachings are two keywords, based on two keywords: sublimation and channeling. Because I admit I got aggression, I admit I got aggression, I admit I got aggression, but I channel it and sublimate it, channel it and sublimate it, channel and sublimate the aggression and the violence. My brothers and sisters, it's hard sometimes, right? I feel moody, upset sometimes. I've lost economic, financial, commercial, of course, continuance, blessings of opportunity due to being LGBTQ, right? Being a homo. Yes, so what? I'm a homo. I love my homos. I love my homos. My homos will be in the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. Will be every weekend. Will be Pride Parade. We got a Pride Parade every weekend in the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom Sabbath. It will be Pride Parade every weekend from Friday midnight till Sunday. Pride with consent, hygiene, and free love. Consent, hygiene, and free love. Consent and hygiene and free love. Blah 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 blah. So as I'm advocating for the implementation of my Trinity theories, I also admit I'm not perfect, but I'm great, super excellent at some things. And as a matter of fact, my geopolitical analysis turned out to be on the mark, on the mark. So back in time now, October 2019, yours truly on the fitness journey, independent fitness captain, in parallel to being a world peace advocate and an artist, struggling financially, still am broke now, but living the worst financial crisis of my life, but I'm rich. I'm very rich in kisses, art, rap, rock, rapping and rocking, and philosophy is an art. I'm very wealthy, very affluent in these, and in action, not just blah blah blah. I got some trillions of push-ups, trillions of squats, trillions of hawks, trillions of marching steps on that march. As a matter of fact, so Adrian H. Dragon died during COVID. I'm being reborn with a new CV. My new CV is pretty simple and direct. I died during COVID. My new CV is proof of work, as you can see online, of course, that I have marched more than the generals of NATO combined during COVID, and I put in more geopolitical, political, social dynamics, philosophical, intellectual work, and spiritual work than all the leaders of NATO member countries combined. I put in more work, physical, intellectual, spiritual, geopolitical, philosophical, even spiritual work than all the leaders of NATO combined during COVID, while also marched more than all in steel-toe boots, more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. So this is my new CV. Adrian Hanna Dragon, during COVID, I've marched and danced in steel-toe boots more than the generals of NATO combined during COVID, and I've also put in more intellectual, physical, cosmopolitan, geopolitical, and artistic and spiritual work than all the leaders of NATO during COVID. And yes, I am a piece of dust. I'm just a piece of dust. I'm just a piece of dust. Yeah. A lusting dust, nonetheless. Gets moody piece of dust. Craves a massage piece of dust. Craves a little bit of bacon piece of dust, Craves a little bit of a like, maybe, or a love, maybe. But more than that is the support of my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon King. More than that is the support for my dream, Dancing Goddess and the Dragon King. More than that is the support for my dream, the Dancing Goddess, GODDS. I am a universal spiritual teaching student who uses that word, WORD, The four-letter holy word has a seven letters. Goddess. 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 God, but where the God is at? Well, look, look, blue sky, beautiful blue sky. Trees are three times, four times, five times, six times, seven times my size, right? The trees are by the millions, maybe even billions, just in Hawk Island, Montreal. Maybe there's a 77 million or 77 billion trees in Hawk Island, Montreal. Maybe 77 million, billion. Throughout the world, there's trillions of trees, right? There's maybe 77 trillions of 777 trillions of trees in the world. Those are the hairs on the goddess's body. So what am I, Adrian Hub Dragon? I'm a fucking piece of dust. But nonetheless, I don't turn the other cheek, Rabbi Jesus. Oh, what Rabbi Jesus, what I would want to see is to do, to be able to do. I can't. I'm not a miracle worker. I would love to turn water into wine. I'd love to do that. To turn water into wine, I would love to do that. Turn water into wine, I'll get everybody drunk. I'll get everybody drunk for world peace, get everybody drunk. And I'll be able to do it. I'm not. I'm not. Got some brain, got some muscle, got some tiny hands. I was saying yesterday to my anonymous sister while watching a movie to my anonymous sister, I was saying while watching a movie to my anonymous sister, if I do make a million, I'm going to give her half. If I make a billion, I'm going to give her half. As a matter of fact, my anonymous sister nominated her as the prime general chief officer, queen of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. I nominate her as the prime general chief officer, general queen dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, prime chief prime minister, general secretary, general officer, queen of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. Yours truly, Adrian Hana Dragon, and co general, co prime minister, co chief executive officers, chief CEO of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, which I'm the androgynous pansexual founder thereof. I nominate half for my anonymous sister. So that I'm found the founding of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, which I'm founding here from Hawk Island, Montreal, from Mount Royal, is with 718 trillions of kisses. Like I said, Rabbi Jesus, I'm not dogmatic, not sectarian. I encourage all increase in public hygiene, wash your hands with soap and water in public, workout, train, exercise to channel the aggression. I've been through hell and back. I've suffered. Healing during this COVID, and I'm not perfect. I lust. I'm androgynous, pansexual. I do a lot of homo dancing. I'm a man and I'm a woman. I've been a man and a woman in many past lives, many incarnations, priestesses. As a universal spiritual teaching student who doesn't know it all, and I do say the word goddess. But anyway, because I digressed, I was discussing with my anonymous sister yesterday when watching a movie, and I was saying, I said, who's able to fight for freedom, really? I said, freedom. I got it tattooed there, 7-letter word like the goddess, Freedom. Well, I admit, I got two tiny hands, tiny feet, little tiny androgynous scar-clit dick. That's what I got. And we can get that out of the way. We can go to a fourth dimension that is for the greater good. And I am for the greater good. I am for the greater good. And of course, the ego is something that I try to sublimate more and more. And try to be in the balance and more about the actions and what we do, what I do, what I got offer. Well, it's kiss, hugs, and tickles first, kisses first, hugs, hug like you never hugged before. But anyways, I was discussing with my anonymous sister, and I said, hey, I'm not worthy. I admit I'm not worthy to fight in the cause of freedom. I'm not worthy. I haven't. Who is? Who admits XYZ that we got racism in the heart? It's hard to admit these things, right? So are we harm none? How do I do justice, racial justice to my brothers and sisters of color, my beautiful black brothers and sisters? Well, how I know, how I want to do for me, with kisses. That's how I would do it. It's blah blah blah, it's blah blah blah. Yeah, okay. Wow, you're taking blah blah for 20 years now. Oh, you're gonna give me a hit, a kiss, or a hug, or some foot washing or something. I know. We got different natures. We got different characteristics. We got experiences. We got, right? For me, I've lost economic, financial, commercial. That money. being LGBTQ, being rainbow. My allies in the armies, pledge you allegiance, legions, what I can. Kiss overtime, hug overtime, give good massages with consent, with fulfillment, live streaming 24/7. The dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom. Before service and security, for service and security, hygiene. Right? Give XYZ. Free love with consent and hygiene, live streaming. I stream Dragon, build websites, Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom, Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom, Dancing Goddess and Dragon Kingdom. That's what I got. Right? I've suffered. Down and out. Fight my own battles. If anybody wants to box yours truly, no problem. I got the gloves. My anonymous sister got me gloves. Thank you for that. Got me those gloves, red gloves, my favorite color. So, first time I was still challenging Donald Trump because I've been challenging Donald Trump for 4 years. Blah 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 blah. For 4 years now, I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-U.S. border due to those tariffs. Nothing personal against Donald Trump. Again, I'm a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor, universal revolutionary centrist. Don't remember much about my youth, much about my childhood, much about my adult life. I don't remember. I remember 10 years. I've spent many times in the libraries reading. I've become the people's doctor. My prescription as the people's doctor is simple, straightforward, and direct. Get some sunlight, get some exercise, get some loving, some jazz, go for a jog, and of course, some push-ups. Prescription, my workout, which I've created, the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, the General War Integrated Total Body Training System. 100 push-ups, yes, prescription. 100 push-ups, not at the same time. 10, walk a minute, do 10, walk another minute, 10, then 100. For me, working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will continue to be medicine and therapy of choice. I've been sick, chronic illness. I don't remember much. Paradoxically, I remember more about past lives. I remember as a child of Israel, right, Moses, and both a man and a woman, and those times, in the biblical times, in ancient Egypt. I don't know how the pyramids were built. Don't ask. I was a farmer once, and I fed the builders of the pyramids, but I don't know how they were built, and perhaps they remains a mystery. What a paradox! Of satellites, Starlink, ICBM rockets, supercomputers, smartphones, microchips, fiber optics underneath the earth going now, transferring information, supercomputers, how many computers now link networks, XYZ, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Apple, Microsoft. The sun still shines in Canada, US. We don't know how the pyramids were built. What I do know is that there are temples and tombs of initiation. What I do know is that there are temples and tombs of initiation. What I do know that there are temples and tombs of initiation. So many past lives, many past incarnations as a universal spiritual teaching student. I don't know it all. How many things I don't know. How many things I wish I would know. I wouldn't like to know it all, because what do you really like to know? I mean, you look at a person and you see if he has transgressed how many of the 42 holy transgressions, the 42 transgressions. Makes one think of the 42 journeys of the Israelites, right? The 42 journeys of the Israelites, 42 journeys of the Israelites, right? So I remember past lives from the Nile, where I've danced with Miriam, Moses' sister, Genesis, Exodus chapter 18, chapter 18 was Miriam's dance, right? Dance of Miriam. It's a beautiful, inspired dance. Of course, I dance for the Dancing Goddess Army, because I'm calling all to support the DGA. So that DGA, I'm the Dancing Goddess Army, because fundamentally, I am the world's greatest living dancing millennial rainbow poet. Combined, not necessarily as a dancer, because I'm ballet, I love ballet. What's the problem? I love ballet. Not necessarily as a dancer, but in combination to being a poet. Maybe I'm the greatest dancer today due to the fact that in a past life, I was a priestess of the goddess, and I've danced in Miriam's. Yes, I said priestess of the goddess, because of course I'm in ancient Egypt. And so there's a lot of mysteries. I'm not going to go into the divine, feminine. Of course, I say the word goddess as a universal spiritual teaching student. I say the word goddess as a universal spiritual teaching student, right? I do say it with many names around about. I'm a piece of dust. Her, the hair, Hair, the hairs on the goddess's body are 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 7, even more times my size. The majestic trees and cedar, trees all over the world, right? Majestic evergreens, 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 right? So I don't know. Maybe since in that past life, I was dancing so good by the as a woman, by inspired by Miriam's dancing. We followed her and her dancing right here. Maybe that's why I'm a great dancer. Nonetheless, I don't know it all. I don't know it all. I don't know it all. Don't claim to know it all. Sun is divine. The moon is divine. The star, the body is holy, sacred, and divine. Eating is holy, sacred, and divine. A kiss can be spiritual. A hug, physical pleasure, it's holy, sacred, and divine as well. That's why fundamentally what I'm calling for is for us to move towards a post-COVID economic, commercial, financial, social, and world for pleasure and purpose. Fundamentally, that's what I'm calling. Fundamentally, that's what I'm calling for. For us to move towards a post-COVID economic, social, financial, economic, commercial, spiritual world for pleasure and purpose. What I'm calling fundamentally is for us to move towards a post-COVID economic, social, financial, spiritual, philosophical, artistic, poetic, philosophical, mystical, social, political, financial, economic system for pleasure and purpose fundamentally by my implementation of my theory. So when I discussed with my sister last night, I said, I'm not worthy to fight in the cause of freedom. How many are really? I said the Dragon Army, calling for the creation of the Dragon Army, officially titled the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force. International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, to be for service and security, based on my philosophies, based on my theories, based on my independent psychological analysis, and fundamentally my philosophy that the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose, right? So based on these theories, based on my philosophies, create this new institution, complementary current institution, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army with the Dragon Army, to be complementary to each other, for pleasure and purpose, for the environment, and for maintaining and hopefully upgrading civilization. And in my philosophy, to upgrade civilization means that we'll have to attain harmony between nature and civilization. So the Dragon Army said, to secure and ensure freedom, to secure and ensure freedom, to secure and ensure freedom. But freedom has to be also defined. There's some responsibility, obligations, and duties, complementary with liberties, obligations, duties, and responsibilities. Right? I'm not totally selfless, but if I would make 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000, first and foremost, honest, straightforward, and direct, the first person whom I would economically, financially, commercially aid, support, and help would be my anonymous sister. She's been with me for a few years, many years now, many years. We've been together with some tough times, some tough economic, financial, commercial times. So the only one, she's the best in terms of pronunciation and chanting and singing and speaking, most powerful that I have ever heard. And nominated her as chief education minister and chief prime minister of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, the co-regent of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, co-regent of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, co-regent of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. If I would support somebody, it would be first and foremost her. Then my willing, loving allies and armies. Whoever I pledge your allegiance, thou art de facto my family. All, ALL, all my willingly loving allies and armies, thou art de facto my family. All my willingly loving allies and armies, pledge your allegiance, thou art de facto my family. That's it. All my willing, loving allies and armies, AA, allies and armies, pledge your allegiance, thou art de facto my family. Whatever I got to give, to offer. Kisses first and foremost. I got trillions of kisses, hugs, rubs, working out, training, exercising, some philosophy, some XYZ. Triple vaccinated, open for business, for world peace, but So it is 10:37 a.m. in the morning. Please, increasing hygiene in public. And please, Wall Street. If you do make a million, buy, sell, trade stocks, futures, options, pennies on the stock market. Please give 10% of that million, which is the equivalent to 100,000 divided by 4, 25,000 for food security, 25,000 for women's sports, 25,000 for LGBTQ service, and 25,000 for environmental causes. That is my call for environmental causes. First and foremost, food security, because everybody got to eat. So to wrap up, and then we're gonna go into the Israeli elections, because that's the topic at hand. I'm gonna revise. I'm gonna go quickly. I'm gonna say finish the of my discussion with my anonymous sister last night. And so am I worthy to fighting the cause of freedom? Very few are. Very few are. It's hard to admit certain things, right? Say if somebody, let's say, for discussion, say that somebody has racism in their heart, is it so that to admit it, I'm dealing against I have certain feelings against my brothers and sisters of color, black brothers and sisters who are black, my brothers and sisters who are black. I have certain feelings so that they harm none. That's the solution, right? So I don't want to harm anybody just because they're different looking than me, just because they LGBTQ, or somebody has anti-homophobe said, Adrian Dragon, I have these feelings against you. You're a homo. You like to suck cock. You like to cock. I do. You like cock. I do love cock. Yeah. Whatever. X, Y, Z. Sure. And I have this feeling, but maybe I admit I also had some fantasies. Maybe I am also bisexual or bi-curious, but I'm struggling with these feelings. So I don't want to harm any people who are part of the LGBTQ community. So how do we break the impasse? How do we break that impasse? How do we break the impasse? Through love and understanding and some action, right? And a person just needs, I feel like this, moody, upset, XYZ, jealousy, like these hard things to admit. I've dealt with jealousy, I've dealt with resentment, I've dealt with anger, then with depression, I've been depressed. So hard things to admit, and then to break the impasse via love and understanding, and action is required. Action has been required in my own healing, and action is required in our collective healing. Some action and solutions. This action has been required for me to change habits, to work out, train, exercise. For example, working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. Working out, training, and exercising will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. Working out, training, and exercising will be, has been, and will continue to be my medicine and choice. That's it. My philosophies, because during the many years of which I remember most, I don't remember much about childhood, adolescence. I remember more 7, 8, 9, 10 years here in Hawk Island, Montreal. It was some good, with some bad, with some good events, some commissions, some XYZ. Now I'm open for business, for commission, of course. I am broke. I'm in debt right now, living the worst financial crisis of my life, but I got the kisses. I got kisses by the plenty, some tickles, some hugs, some dancing with that I got. I'm grateful, thankful my rent's paid for today. Grateful, thankful my rent's paid for today. So, being my rent's paid for today, I do advocate for the implementation of my Trinity theories, the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Death Row Fusion Theory, and Democratic Fusion. There are Trinity theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension love, and whatever X, Y, Z other factors. If of course you can be in all things. With principles, I'm non-sectarian, non-dogmatic. With principles in all things, I am non-sectarian, non-dogmatic. In principle, with all things, I am non-sectarian and non-dogmatic. Those are principles, whether spiritually, politically, socially, philosophically, artistic, in all ways. Try to be in the balance. Non-dogmatic, non-sectarian. Sure, I could offend. I get offended. I get offended. Fight my own battles. Like I said, my anonymous sister gave me gloves. I got red gloves, but Donald Trump first. Still challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. Nothing personal against Donald Trump, just oppose the tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Matter of fact, if I wouldn't have maybe stayed out of politics, if it wouldn't have been for Donald Trump, and I would have kept my geopolitical analysis and philosophies and everything that I've learned during the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years in the libraries and my studying and my learning as becoming a geopolitical analyst and theorist. And of course, maybe I would have not into politics if it would have been for Donald Trump implementing tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel, because I am Quebecer Canadian. Quebecer Canadian, I said, and I didn't like the fact that he didn't admit it coming from wealth, coming from born with a silver spoon, born with a silver spoon. Cut yours to it here. Nobody's born a dragon. I've got a surname, Dragon. I've been on the island for many, many years, doing writing art, some commission, some X, some Y, some Z, writing and reading as a philosopher, independent psychological analyst and theorist, independent artist, independent athlete, independent philosopher, independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, writing and wrote and read and wrote and read, of which now I'm giving my theories and philosophies that I'm calling in an oral communication ways, and with my anonymous sister, whom if I make a million or a billion or 100 million or every million, give her half and nominate my anonymous sister as the co-regent of the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom. That's it. That's all here in Hawk Island, Montreal, for Quebec, North America, Canada, the collective North American civilization with NATO, and of course our allies in Israel and NATO and all willing, living allies here. First and foremost, for North America, as a North American, my policy is in all things, social security, financial, economic, with everything that I philosophize is first and foremost that North Americans, we constitute a collective civilization of North America, and we got one border, two oceans. We got one border, two oceans. We got one border, two oceans. That way is the Atlantic. That's the Atlantic. 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 That's goes to the Maritimes, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, of course Labrador and Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and not only Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, but there's also New Brunswick, right, in the Maritimes. That way when we go west, that way is Ontario, after Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia. On the west coast there, it's 10:44 a.m. here. We got to subtract 3 hours because we got different time zones, 4.5 across Canada, coast to coast from the extremes. So on the east coast, in the Maritimes, Nova Scotia, we add an hour. So they're 11:44 here. It's 10:44 a.m. at the moment in time. So minus 3 hours in British Columbia, and of course Seattle, Washington State. We got to subtract 2 hours in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and that Google headquarters of Facebook, headquarters of Apple, and of course on LA, on California. Of course, it's 7:44. We subtract 3 hours, so 7:44 a.m. They're having their morning there. Farmers of the West Coast and the Central Coast and the Midwest of North America. Farmers, love you, kiss you, big dragon hugs. Everybody got 80 with Wall Street. Please give 10% of every million you make buying, selling, trading stocks. Now, frenzy, Wall Street. So, implementation of my theories is what I'm advocating to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka Dragon Army, with the International Integrated Dance League, integrate all being all gender, all ages, all sexual orientations, inclusive dance league, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, to be for pleasure and purpose, to be for pleasure and purpose, to be for pleasure and purpose, to be for the environment, dance for pleasure. Dancing is my favorite sport. Dance for pleasure, and to dance for the environment, for environmental education and action in cooperation with all existing organizations that deal in the environment, environmental organizations, and of course environmental actions and all involved in the environment, whether to clean the environment or the recycling, and of course compost. So education and action for, and as an individual level, the citizen has to be better educated how to do the compost, how to do the recycling. I've been involved a few years ago on a little contract. I've been involved working on the compost, so I know a little bit. I can always learn every day to do better recycling, so that citizens know that a certain item or items, or so as it does not go into recycling, which will be counterproductive, or if it goes to the compost. For example, today I compost. Remember that I got a compost. What doesn't go in the compost? XYZ doesn't go in the compost, otherwise it will be counterproductive. So education and action, because action is required for us to maintain civilization. Brains and muscle is required for maintenance, and building has been required for building civilization, or for upgrading civilization. Brains and muscle is required for building, maintaining, or upgrading civilization has been required. So building civilization, upgrading civilization, and maintaining civilization, brains and muscle is required. Brains and muscle is required for building, maintaining, or upgrading civilization. Brains and muscle. I got some brains and muscle. I got some brains and muscle. I got some brains and muscle. Not perfect, far from it. Got some lusts, got some vices, got some issues. Matter of fact, like calling on the strippers of North America, calling on the strippers of North America, support the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, and please give the farmers, truckers, butchers, bakers, all involved in the production and distribution of food, if they come to the strip club, if they bar them, give them a free sandwich, a free beer, and a free lap dance. That's why I'm calling on the bars, or strip bars, strip joints. For the truckers, give them a free beer, free, because they everything blah 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 blah. Some goodness and kindness. This is goodness and kindness can be like this. This can be an act of goodness and kindness. This can be an act of goodness and kindness. So please, the strip owner, bars owners, and the strip club owners, give them, the truckers, the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, give them free coffee, whatever they have, a free drink. Let's say with a coffee, milk, or whatever it is, soft drink or beer or brandy, and strippers give them a free lap dance. It can be even this. Right? It's part of our civilization, and it's part of our civilization. So to have a compendium to break the impasses, we believe my solutions are best at this point in time. I believe my solutions, the CIT, citizen integration theory, the debt fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory, to be implemented via the four-dimension love, to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, to be those institutions a public-private partnership, fundamentally a public-private partnership, fundamentally a public-private partnership, in order to, of course, attain harmony between civilization and nature. So the theories which I'm going to discuss is, first and foremost, the debt fusion theory, because the debt fusion theory has to come first. The debt fusion theory has to come first. So the debt fusion theory has to come first. And before I discuss it, I'm just going to get some more coffee. I'm going to get a second cup. Grateful thank for this cup of coffee. The farmers love you, who harvested this black coffee bean. Farmers who harvested black coffee bean, thank you, love you, kiss you. Farmers who harvested this black coffee bean, thank you, love you, kiss you. Farmers who harvested this black coffee bean, thank you, love you, kiss you. Harvested the black coffee bean, which was made, created, and produced initially by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, Mother Earth, fertile Mother Earth, with the sun rays and the black fertile earth and all the water and the minerals and the vitamins, minerals, and water, of course, was creating this black coffee bean, which now yours truly drinks. Independent artist, independent philosopher, independent psychological analyst and theorist, independent sexual analyst and theorist, and yours truly androgynous pansexual founder of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is my dream, which I'm calling all willing living to support from here, Hawkeye and Montreal locally, for a public-private partnership and the implementation of my Trinity of theories, of which the DRT first, the debt fusion theory. So what is the debt fusion theory? The debt fusion theory is taking all private and public debt, taking all private and public debt, taking all private and public debt, taking all private and public debt. For example, my private debt, and if private debt of citizens represented by the letter X, then the public debt would be represented by the letter Y. So X's and Y's. So if I'm X1, you're X2, and there's hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions across North America of fellow citizens in debt. So taking all the debt of Canadians, coast to coast, refusing it. So this is debt fusion theory, taking all private and public debt. My debt, if I'm X1, my debt to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, is $10,000. So taking all debt, refusing it, whatever that number is, refusing it, converting it as forex, foreign exchange, into US dollars. So doing the conversion into US dollars, right? Because the US dollar, this dollar, is still the currency of choice for international trade, the currency of choice for global finance, and the currency of choice for world commerce. So this dollar, US, is still the currency of choice for international trade, for world finance, and for global commerce. This US dollar here, the US dollar generally, the currency of the US, is still the currency of choice for international finance, global commerce, and world trade. US dollar. It has been challenged since 2007 by the yuan, and paradoxically in the past days, weeks, and months, paradoxically by the ruble. I'm not going to discuss if you want to commission blah 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 tralala, just that discussion and an in-depth analysis of that trend. Please feel free, otherwise blah blah tralala blah blah. And the paradox of the ruble going up and rebounding after the sanctions, mainly due to the factors such as the oil trade and other. Of course, the price of oil has went up here in Hawkeye and Montreal again. It's going up and down, 5 cents, 6 cents every day, more and up and down. Now it's on the uptrend again. If you want to commission a discussion just on that, I'm not going to discuss my DRT, debt fusion theory. Because first and foremost, from a dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom dream, the debt refusion theory, I believe is best at this point in time to be implemented. So debt refusion theory, taking all private and public debt, converting it to US dollar, whatever the number is in US dollars, whatever the number is. So let's say what's the Canadian to US conversion. Let's see what it is today. Canadian to US conversion. What is Canadian exchange today? The trade. So one Canadian dollar today, this dollar today, is 73 cents. So it hasn't changed. This Canadian dollar, which was 2005 printed, money supply, how much it is. So all the debt, private and public debt, whatever the number is, the public and private debt of all Canadians and all Canadian institutions and the government of Canada, which yesterday we checked and it's estimated at around 2.4 trillion. 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. So whatever it is, the debt, all the public and the private debt, Canadian dollars, converted that amount to US dollars. The debt of my brothers and sisters in the USA, know that I'm speaking, of course, as somebody who was born twice in past lives in the USA. Matter of fact, 156 years ago that way, 718 miles from Hawkeye to Montreal, he still has served in the US Army. 156 years ago, 718 miles south of Hawkeye to Montreal, I've served in the US Army. So I'll speak to somebody who's born in the USA. Just read George Patton, the generals through a glass darkly. Poem. Read George Patton's general George Patton through a glass darkly. If you read George Patton's poetry through a glass darkly, he was a general in the U.S. who believed, like yours truly believes, in reincarnation and other past lives and past lives. Right here, November 3rd. This is my advocacy for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which is my dream. The debt refusion theory, the debt refusion, taking all private and public debt. Canada, first North America, and then NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member countries, and my Genesis 33 verse 4 protocol for Israel to join, and beyond, my brothers and sisters in Africa, brothers and sisters in the Middle East, brothers and sisters in Haiti, in Cuba, in Central America, South America. And of course, too, the Canadian dollar. 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent of 73 cents US. 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent of 73 cents US. So taking all the debt, private and public debt, all the private and the public debt, refusing it to whatever the number is. So debt refusion theory is taking all the private and the public debt of Canada, Canadian dollars, then converting into US dollars. Because all the currencies of North America and NATO member countries and Israel and beyond will be converted to US dollars, because like I've said, the US dollars is the currency of choice. So whatever the number is of all the public and the private debt in Canadian dollar, estimated at about 2 point something trillion, 2.4 trillion, that 2.4 trillion, converting it to US dollars. Then the Mexico, let's see how the Mexican peso does today. Peso to US conversion, peso to US. Peso to US today, the Mexican peso. So this is the debt refusion theory to be implemented that I'm advocating, of course, because first and foremost, to have the debt refusion theory in order to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, with the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, officially titled International Integrated Dancing, two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations. That is my advocacy. That is my call to all in the public-private partnership, because fundamentally my dream, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, is a public and a private partnership to implement my debt refusion theory, the DRT, in order to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, to be for service and security. Secure the three elements of civilization: food, housing, and transport. Food, housing, and transport. Food, housing, and transport. Those are three essentials. Imagine, let's do an imagination, Dragon Army with 300 black and red helicopters with those 7-pointed star inside on each side, 7-pointed golden star with a rainbow phoenix and a rainbow dragon on each side. That was my dream for the 300 helicopters. I want brand new. Elon Musk helicopters, choppers for a public-private partnership. Brand new helicopters make a cooperation partnership between Boeing and all the top helicopter manufacturers with 300 new helicopters, choppers in order to be for the Dragon Army and to go east, west, coast, north, coast across North America to secure coast to coast, secure coast to coast, and secure internally food, housing, and transport, linked with Starlink satellites, linked with all Facebook, Instagram, and 24/7 live stream 24/7. Encourage people in public hygiene. Encourage people, please do not neglect public hygiene. Wash your hands with soap and water. 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 And of course, encourage people to do some workout. My general integrated total body training system. And of course, thank the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and encourage all workers across coast to coast, from the dock workers, from the warehouses, and to workers yours truly, independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist, AAA, plus other dimensions, universal spiritual teaching student and philosopher. Of course, I've been calling for a public-private partnership, the Dragon Army, to pass out 300 brand new helicopters, black and red helicopters with a 7-pointed golden star on it. Of course, seven-pointed. Not the Star of David has 6. My star, the Dancing Goddess Army star, the DGA star has 7. The DGA Dancing Goddess Army has 7. Dancing Goddess Army has 7 points, not 6 like the Star of David, but 7. It's a 7-pointed star. So on each side of the helicopter, and inside each star, on one star, inside one golden star, a rainbow phoenix, and inside the other one, a rainbow dragon. So these 300 helicopters for Canada, US, binational to be, of course, the Dragon Army first and foremost binational, just like the NHL is not just national, it's of course binational, and of course the NBA is of course binational, because my brothers and sisters, we got one border, two oceans, one border, two oceans, one border, two oceans, coast to coast. And this Quebecer, Canadian, North American, first and foremost, Quebecer, Canadian, North American, first and foremost, Quebecer, Canadian, North American, who was many past lives, many incarnations, and who calls for world peace. I've been calling for world peace, but also at the same time admit that we have XYZ factors, we have aggression, we got to channel and sublimate, But I fight my own battles. If anybody want to fight with, still in a boxing match, and I got the red gloves, so we can put them on, go one-on-one live streaming, with the gloves, no problem. Or we can freestyle battle rap. We're gonna rap for the farmers, because everybody gotta eat, even multi-millionaire rappers. Y'all even gated communities. And of course, XYZ other factors count. So I had that dream where 300 black and red helicopters and travel on the daily, and of course to secure people food, housing, and transport. Secure food, housing, and transport. So all the farmers of North America, the transport, the railways. Thank you, love you, kiss you, railway workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, railway workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, railway workers. Y'all rock. Y'all rock. Railway workers, rock and roll, man. Farmers, y'all rock. Love you. Truckers, y'all rock. So all the highways, all the railways, coast to coast, the docks, those 300 helicopters, and the big cities, small cities, and of course the daily, to encourage people to work out, to train, to exercise, and public hygiene, please. So that is the dream. The DRT, taking all private and public debt and refusing it. Today, 1 Mexican peso is the equivalent of 0.05 cents US, 51. So 1 Mexican peso today is the equivalent of 0.051 cents US dollar. The 1 Mexican peso today is the equivalent of 0.5 cents US, and vice versa. US dollar, this US dollar is the equivalent. It went down a bit since about a few weeks ago when it was 20. So 1 US dollar today is the equivalent of 19.68 Mexican peso. So we can say that it depreciated. The US dollar depreciated while the Mexican peso appreciated. Have inverse relationship, meaning lost a little bit of value, lost a little bit of power, while the Mexican peso gained a little bit of stuff. Today, November 3rd, 2:56 PT UTC time. So as it's 11:01 a.m. in the morning here in Hokkaido, Montreal. So 1 US dollar is the equivalent today of 19.68 Mexican peso. 1 US dollar today is the equivalent of 19.68 Mexican peso. 1 US dollar today. $1 today is the equivalent of 19.68 Mexican pesos. The conversion. So 1 US dollar is the equivalent of 19.68 Mexican peso. That is the currency of choice today. And we're gonna see for NATO. Countries. So NATO utilizes mostly the euros. And so it's gonna be the euro. Oh, it went down a bit. Yesterday it was 0.99 cents. So it went down again. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. €1 today is the equivalent of 98 cents US. Vice versa. $1, this US dollar, this US dollar is the equivalent of 1.02 euro cents. So it appreciated a bit by 1 cent since yesterday. So $1 is the equivalent of 1 euro and 2 euro cents. So $1 is the equivalent of 1.02, or $1 is the equivalent of 1 euro and 2 euro cents. Let's see Israeli new shekels. Israeli shekel. One new Israeli shekel stayed very stable in the past days and weeks. One new Israeli shekel is the equivalent of 28 cents US. One new Israeli shekel is the equivalent of 28 cents US. One new Israeli shekel is the equivalent of 28 cents US, and vice versa. $1, $1, $1 is the equivalent of 3.57 new Israeli shekels. $1 is the equivalent of 3.58 new Israeli shekels. $1 is the equivalent of 3.57. $1 is the equivalent of 3.57 new Israeli shekels. It went up a bit. So yesterday it was 3.56, right? And then 3.54 one time, and then 3.53 2 weeks ago. And again, before it was 3.58. So it's going a little bit up and down. So today, $1, this US dollar is the equivalent, converts into 3.57 new Israeli shekels. And let's see for the, because in NATO, Turkey is in NATO, so Turkish. Let's see Turkish. One Turkish lira is the equivalent of 0.54 US dollars, so 5 cents US. One Turkish lira is the equivalent of 5 cents US. One Turkish lira, 5 cents US. Vice versa. One US dollar, this US dollar, the equivalent of 18.62 Turkish lira. One US dollar is the equivalent of 18.62 Turkish lira. One US dollar is the equivalent of 18.62 Turkish lira. One US dollar, 18.62 Turkish lira. Kind of stayed the same too. Let's see now the British pound. £1 sterling is the equivalent of $1.12 US. It says that is dropping fast. Was dropping fast. Previous close price of 114. So the pound sterling is dropping fast supposedly today. The exchange rate minus 1.53. So £1 sterling today is the equivalent of $1.12 US. £1 sterling from Britain, the currency from the British currency is $1.12. Vice versa. $1, this US dollar, this US dollar is the equivalent of 0.89 British pounds. So not one. $1 is the equivalent of 0.89 pound sterlings as of 3 p.m. UTC. 3:04 p.m. UTC. $1 says dropping fast. There's a note here online says dropping fast. So $1 is the equivalent of 0.89 pound sterling. Pound sterling. $1 is the equivalent of 0.89 pounds sterling. And now we're gonna go see for the Egyptian pound. Egypt. One Egyptian pound is the equivalent of 0.4 cents US. One Egyptian pound is the equivalent of 0.4104 cents US. So one Egyptian pound is the equivalent of 4 cents US. Vice versa, this US dollar converts into 24.30 Egyptian pounds. $1 converts into 24.30 Egyptian pounds. $1 converts into 24.30 Egyptian pounds. That's the conversion into that. The conversion. So taking all the debt, private and public, refusing it into US dollars, so the numbers in the trillions, that number will be to finance the creation of a new transnational global central bank, to issue what I call the UE, to issue what I call the UE. The UE stands for UE stands for Universal Exchange Unit. So it's a U.E.U. Universal Exchange Unit, because fundamentally money, Canadian dollar, US dollar. What is money? Fundamentally is to buy and sell, fundamentally, right? And now we have advanced, blah, blah, and buy and sell. And we need to
secure food, housing, and transport, and we need to have security for citizens, or welfare security to have secure the food. Food is everybody gotta eat. Rich, poor, Wall Street, multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires. Mr. Fink, Mr. Fink also breaking for lunch soon. I don't know if you're breaking for lunch or you skip lunch or breakfast. I don't know, but if you're fasting, maybe you're fasting. Blah 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 blah. Blah. But nonetheless, to secure the food, the housing, and transport with XYZ in its capacity. So the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, by the debt refusion theory. That's what I'm advocating and have been advocating now for the past days, weeks, and months, and COVID. And of course, I'm calling for the mentally to move towards a post-COVID economic, social, financial, political, philosophical, commercial, even spiritual and philosophical system for pleasure and purpose. And purpose mainly, of course, to attain harmony between civilization and nature, and for implement the theories for us to have some joy, some creativity, and to explore nature and civilization. And thus, after we have debt refusion theory, so the debt refusion theories, again, to revise it, to take all the public and the private debt, Canada, NATO member countries, first NATO member countries, NATO member Israel and beyond, was a Project Genesis 33 verse 4, Genesis 33 4, and of course to create the UE. So all the debt, public and private, refusing it in US dollars. So all the public and private Canadian debt converting into US dollar, Mexican debt, Canadian US dollar, NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization member countries, of which North America is as part of NORAD and NATO. Of course, NATO 30 member countries, and Turkey is in as well, with Israel and beyond, and of course to convert it into US dollars, whatever the number is, with that amount of all the debt, public and private, create what I call the UE. The UE stands for Universal Exchange Unit. The Universal Exchange Unit. The Universal Exchange Unit. And to work with all the central banks of the aforementioned NATO member countries in Israel and beyond, NATO member countries, Israel and beyond, NATO member countries, and Israel and beyond, in order to attain and have debt refusion theory, and of course by the public and private partnership with all corporations. I'm calling on my brother Mark Zuckerberg, calling on my brother, and not only Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, my brother Elon Musk, my brother Astro brother Bill Gates. In a parallel life, I'm also a hybrid of Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and Elon Musk. In a parallel life, I'm a scientist. In a parallel life, I am a scientist. I'm a scientist in a parallel life. In this life, a philosopher, a piece of dust, a piece of dust, a piece of dust, lusting, dancing, nonetheless, piece of dust, philosophizing, calling for some action, and so a piece of dust that want to give love and be loved and be heard, and do X, Y, Z, and work out and train and exercise and do and do and do, and with X, Y, Z capacity, shape, or form, and heal, and take some action and implement my Trinity of theories as a philosopher, an artist, and activist. I do believe firmly, without a doubt, that my Trinity of theories, the DRT, Data Fusion Theory, the CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, and Democratic Fusion Theory, are best at this point in time, or where to be implemented via the fourth dimension LOV in order to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions of the International Citizen and Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, to be for service and security with the International Integrated Dance League, integrated albeit all gender, all ages, all sexual orientations inclusive, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA with the Dragon Army to be for pleasure and purpose. So the debt refusion theory, to summarize and revise it, taking all debt, public and private, my private debt is 10,000. If I take all the X's, X would represent the private debt of private citizens such as myself, taking all the debt, private citizen, and refusing it. Whatever the number is, it's going to be in the trillions. So convert it into US dollars, because this US dollar, United States dollar, is still the currency of choice for world trade, international finance, global commerce. So all the number of all the debt of NATO member countries, Israel, and our brothers and sisters in Africa, Middle East, whatever, South America, Central America, and to create what I call the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. And so I'm calling for this public-private partnership, and with that number, after we convert all the debt to US dollars of Canadian debt, NATO member countries debt, Israel debt, and beyond, whatever the number is in the trillions, because the debt is in the trillions of Canadians, debt is in the trillions, and of course, whatever that number is, issue a universal exchange unit. The UE, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and the eye have unique biometric identifiers. And of course, with a partnership, public-private partnership with all corporations and institutions, Apple, Google, Facebook, and beyond, of course, to create and substitute UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, in order to issue. And the money supply of this global central bank, transnational central bank, international financial institutions, I'm also calling, of course, the support by the IMF, International Monetary Fund, World Economic Forum, of course, and of course the World Bank, IMF, World Economic Forum, all institutions, public and private, BlackRock, to support the creation of the UE for the 21st century, because money is an exchange unit fundamentally. So create the UE, and with all the public and the private debt, whatever the number is in the trillions is going to be, the initial money supply would be the initial money supply, and then we'd have the standard on the products at that point in time, hopefully ASAP, to November 7, in the coming 7 days, for my 7-year plan for, of course, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, post November 7, as I march toward the mountain, and for world peace, and of course to do everything that I will do, and a philosopher, and every day as I carpe diem it every day, as I carpe diem it every day, as I carpe diem every day. So all the public and the private debt, refusing it, whatever the number is in US dollar, create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers in order to issue the Universal Exchange Unit, and of course to Universal Exchange Unit to be based on whatever the US dollar is at that point in time, to have the standard of the prices, let's say the price freeze, and then what that number to have a maximum interest rate of 10%, no higher than 10% as a principal, 10% higher. It can be 9.9, 9.8, 9.3, and it could be 8.53, it could be 7.70, 7.70, or below 6, it could be 6, or the numbers that are not higher than 10 on principal on all loans thereafter. And that would be the initial money supply. All the debt of NATO member countries and Israel and beyond others, to take all and convert, create the UE. The UE stands for Universal Exchange Unit, to be at par with the US dollar, since the US dollar is still the currency of choice for international trade, the currency of choice for global commerce, the currency of choice for global commerce, international finance, and world trade, right? That's still the currency of choice. And create the UE. So that number in the trillions would create the UE. That's why I'm calling on the public-private partnership, all institutions, all organizations of NATO member countries and Israel and beyond, to support the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. It would, of course, be more security and transnational, as now we're dealing with geopolitical regions forming different alliances, and we are on a path. Maybe World War III has begun, as my geopolitical analysis back in October 2019 have proven in many ways correct. That's why, of course, since COVID, I've been advocating verbally and putting online in my advocacy for my philosophies during COVID, because I've seen that COVID, of course, resembles my geopolitical analysis, and furthermore, not only COVID resembles it, but furthermore, the current situation in Europe with the Ukraine and Russia crisis, with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, with the Russia's and Ukraine crisis. My brothers and sisters, it's time for peace. We gotta channel the aggression, and we gotta try to live with each other, because we're all in this together. We're one human race, struggling to attain liberty and freedom, struggling to attain liberty and freedom. And my brother, Secretary General NATO, please, your speeches, brother General Secretary NATO, please, brother Secretary General of NATO, please say to the NATO alliance, to the armies of NATO, I love you. And I want to orders from no general that doesn't say to the troops, to the allies, that love you, make love tonight. Say to them, some passion. Someone on West Side, love you, make love tonight. West Side motherfucker, that we love West. We love you. It's not about love. What are we fighting for? Someone that's not gonna make love today. Launch all the ICBM warheads at the sun. My Pope, the sun. My Pope is the sun. My Pope, the sun. So we'll still smile in your fucking face. And I'm a piece of dust. Fight my own battles. May I be avenged 93-fold. May I be avenged 93-fold. May I be avenged 718-fold. May I be avenged 718-fold. May I be avenged 718-fold. That's my implementation of my theories. That's the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom dream. That's the disc. That's the philosophy. Just a piece of dust. Limdick. Got a clit instead of a dick, and blah 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 blah. Blah. Got that out of the way. For the Trinity of Theories, CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, Death Row Fusion Theory, DRT, and the Democratic Fusion Theory. Trinity of Theories create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, the Universal exchange unit is what I'm advocating for a public-private partnership across all institutions and organizations. And of course, calling all willing living to support it in any way, capacity, shape, or form, any way, capacity, shape, or form, any way, capacity, shape, or form. The creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. And of course, it's at this time for security and where we are geopolitically, my brothers and sisters, as North Americans, as part of NATO alliance, and brothers and sisters in Israel. I believe first and foremost this, the creation of the UE is something that we gotta do in parallel with the implementation of my Trinity of theories, and furthermore in the philosophies as we go each day, carpe diem, as I philosophize call to action, all willingly living in this Hawk Island, Montreal, Hawk Island, Montreal, in Quebec, North America, in Quebec, North America, and Hawk, H-A-W-K, Hawk Island, Montreal. Is a Quebecer, Canadian, North American who was born twice in past lives in the USA. On the Israeli elections, let's see who has won the election. So, just to revise and summarize, what of course the debt refusion theory is taking all private and public debt, refusing it, creating the global central bank, and of course create the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, whatever the number is of all the debt, public and private, refusing it, converting it into US dollars, and that will be the initial money supply of the UE. And for the UE, the initial money supply of, and for the UE, the initial money supply for the Universal Exchange Unit, and thus create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, with the International Integrated Dancing, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, to be complementary covenant and cooperation to help support in any way, capacity, shape, or form that one can. Of course, to secure food, housing, and transport, and be integrated the Dragon Army with all existing public and private institutions for security across the board, NATO member countries, NORAD. So the Dragon Army to be integrated with all existing institutions, public and private institutions and organizations. PPP, public-private partnership, the Dragon Army to be for service and security, security three, food, housing, and transport, and then offer services, the fourth dimension, whatever services can be offered with or without, with consent, mutual understanding and hygiene, with consent, mutual understanding and hygiene, with consent, mutual understanding and hygiene, to offer the services with consent, mutual understanding and hygiene. Whether it's massaging a farmer or a trucker, because the trucker is going to drive 13 hours, say, my neck's killing me. I need a little bit of service. I'm gonna drive 6 hours. Gonna stop. I'm gonna drive another 6 hours because somebody give me a 15 minute, 20 minute neck rub, massage, whatever. Integrated application, Dragon Army service across North America with all public and private institutions and organizations across the board. Say, yep, no problem. Thanks to that, we got it. 100 Dragon Army, Yep, we got some Dragon units, east, west, north, south. There, we got you, brother. You dragons. Blah blah tra la blah 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 tra la. XYZ. All services with consent and with mutual understanding and hygiene, helping with the children, taking for, of course, let's say for a workout training program because they're driving the parents crazy. They're too hyperactive. They could use to do my workout or to play some football, do some exercise. So dragons to be, or to read to children, dragon to cook, to clean, to do all services with consent, mutual understanding, whatever one can offer to one can do, whatever one can offer to one can do, whatever one can offer to one can do. For example, what can I can do? I can read, I can cook, I can clean, I can massage, I can kiss, I can hug, I can work out, train, exercise, I can think. And then to have the citizen integration theory. The CIT, citizen integration theory is once we have the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations, the Dragon Army to be citizen integration theory to help encourage citizens to see how the dams here in Quebec are and where they are, how the farming is done, to integrate citizen integration theory so that we fight alienation, because since 1984 with the globalized financial and technocratic system there has been, of course, alienation in our society since 1984, since Ronald Reagan's re-election. A globalized technocratic financialized system has arisen since 1984. A corporate technocratic globalized financialized system has arisen of alienation. We have alienation from society. So my citizen integration theory is, of course, an answer to breaking the impasse for alienation. So with the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army to encourage citizens to go see, for example, how farming is done across Quebec, across Canada, across North America, how the railways are done, how the ports operate. So to have days set up for the ports, for the farming, for the trucking, and to learn on the field to see, for example, how Hydro-Quebec workers operate, and give them some love, because we're utilizing all this energy, which is clean and renewable. So to valorize and everything that we have a civilization in nature, for the mountains, to see, of course, the oceans are need to be clean and XYZ, for the public hygiene, and of course cleanliness in the public cleanliness and public hygiene, and XYZ. So to integrate, to see how farming is done, for example, because everybody got to eat in Wall Street. So farmers, to see how farming is done, how the trucking is done, the loading, to see the logistics, and of course to see all, of course, for example, the railways, the freight trains. The other day I was on the march. You can see the video. See a freight train with like, I think, 156 cars, a big metal brains and muscle building, transports grain of a mega North American civilization. So to integrate, to fight alienation, to see, for example, how public security, the Dragon Army integrate with all existing NATO member forces, and of course public security forces integrated. My philosophy is the Dragon Army integrate with all public security forces, to integrate, to see how things are done, to go on the field, to go how sports, how theater, arts, citizen integration, to integrate across all the board with via the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army. Citizen integration theory and democratic fusion theory is basically the fundamentals of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Army. The Dragon Army, officially the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, and the DGA, Dancing Goddess Army, the International Integrated Dancing. To integrate democratic fusion is based on my pro-labor universal revolutionary interest that in the 21st century, we need these two new institutions based on a public-private partnership, and these two new institutions based on a public and private partnership, because fundamentally my Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom is based on a public and a private partnership with all institutions and organizations. Yours truly, Adrian Hana Dragon, calling all willing loving to support. It's 11:24 a.m. in the morning. If you do make a million on the stock market today, please give 10% for food security. And that 10% of 1 million is the equivalent of 100,000 divided by 4, makes it 25,000 for food security, 25,000 for LGBTQ youth sports, 25,000 for women's sports and environmental issues. Israeli legislative elections. Let's see. I'm going to first say what I offer to my Israelis is kisses. Let's see what it is. And it would be if be the co-prime minister of Israel. See, we have Pride Parade every weekend. And, kisses. Kiss. Meshika. 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 To kiss. Lenashek. 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 And dragon, it's Drakon. Dragon is Drakon. Dragon is Drakon. Let's see. Dragon is Drakon. It's a Dalet Resh Kof Vav Nun. Dalet Resh Kof Vav Nun. Dalet Resh Kof Vav Nun. Drakon. Dragon in Hebrew is Drakon. Dragon in Hebrew is Drakon. And dancer, so it would be a prime minister, co-prime minister who's a dancing, kissing dragon. And rainbow dragon. So to the dancer. Dancer is Mahol. Dancer Ragdan ha Drakon ha Ragdan ha Ragdan dancer Ragdan. So it's a Resh Kov Dalet Nun Ragdan, to dance Rikod Maxol Rikud dancing Rikud to dance Lirod. And rainbow, so it'll be a, for instance, your Drakon Ragdan Drakon, the dancing rainbow dragon. And rainbow, how do we say rainbow? Kissing, Lenashek. Most important words that I would say every day. My Israeli brothers and sisters. Rainbow, let's see. Rainbow. Rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. Kesh, keshet be'anan. Keshet. So it's a kof shin tav. Bet ayin nun nun. Bet. So it's two words. Keshet. Kof shin tav. Kof, the letter kof, the Hebrew letters. Kof shin tav. Keshet. It's very small written. Keshet. Keshet be'anan. Kof shin tav. Bet ayin nun nun. Keshet be'anan. So it would be a dancing rainbow dragon. So it would be dancing keshet be'anan. Rikud hadrakon keshet be'anan. Rikud hadrakon keshet be'anan. Rikud hadrakon keshet be'anan. That would be the main. The dancing rainbow dragon. So, to see the Israeli legislative elections, there are 40 parties. Wow, 40 parties, 40 parties, political parties in the the election. Wow, 40 parties. 40 political parties registered to run for these elections. 40 political parties registered to run for these elections. And as of, let's see, as of now, the election results. Reporting 99%, 99%, 99%. Wow, so it's almost conclusive, almost done, almost accomplished, almost Israeli election. So this has been the legislative elections for Israeli government, the members of the Knesset, which are 120. So it needs 61 to rule, 61 to rule. So it's coalitions. But the Knesset, of course, and the Knesset, members of the Knesset. And of course, the Knesset is the government of Israel. So all 120 sits in the Knesset. The Knesset is the unicameral legislature of Israel. The Knesset is the unicameral legislature of Israel. All as the supreme state body, the Knesset is sovereign and thus has complete control of the entirety of the Israeli government. The Knesset is the unicameral legislature of Israel. As the supreme state body, the Knesset is sovereign and thus has complete control of the entirety of the Israeli government. The Knesset is the unicameral legislature of Israel. As the supreme state body, the Knesset is sovereign and thus has complete control of the entirety of the Israeli government. So as of today, 99% has been reported as of 5:09 p.m. So 5:09 p.m. 17:09, 5:09 p.m. because it's 11:30 here a.m. and in Israel time it's, let's see, Israel Tel Aviv. In Tel Aviv Yafo is the time. What is that? Tel Aviv time. Tel Aviv time. So it's 5:30 p.m. in Tel Aviv now. We're almost close to the sunset in about 44 minutes. 44 minutes, of course. 44 minutes, their sunset begins. So it's the all 120 seats in the Knesset. 61 seats needed for a majority. Knesset in the Knesset. So you have 61 seats needed for a majority of the 120 seats. And the turnout has been 71.3%, so of eligible voters. Considerable. I think that we're in North America, Canada, US, we're below 60 turnover, right? Something like that. Something like that. From what I do know, we're below that. So as of so about 20 minutes ago, 99%. So seats, Benjamin Netanyahu of Likud, Benjamin Netanyahu has 23.41 of the popular vote, which is the current 32 seats. Likud, Yesh Atid, Yair Lapid has 17.79, which is 24 seats. Religious Zionist, Bezalel Smotrich has 10.81, which is seats 14. And National Unity, Benny Gantz has 12 seats. And Shas Aryeh Deri has 11 seats. UTG, Itzhak Golprop has 7 seats. And Israel Beitenu, Avigdor Lieberman, 4.47%, has 6 seats. Ra'am Mansour Abbas has 5 seats. Hadash Ta'al Ayman Odeh has 5 seats. Labour Party Merav Mikeli has 3.68% and 4 seats. So those are the seats now divided, 99%. So it seems like Benjamin Netanyahu of Likud is on the path towards forming a coalition government. So Likud has the most seats now, 32 seats as of now, as of recently in the past half an hour. Likud, officially known as Likud National Liberal Movement, is a major center-right to right-wing political party in Israel. It was founded in 1973 by Menachem Begin and Ariel Sharon in alliance with several right-wing parties. Yesh Atid. Yesh Atid is a liberal political party in Israel, founded by Yair Lapid in 2012. It seeks to represent what it considers the center of Israeli society, the secular middle class. Secular middle class. It focuses primarily on civic, socioeconomic, and governance issues, including government reform and ending military draft exemptions. Military draft exemptions of the ultra-Orthodox. Military draft exemptions of the ultra-Orthodox. Military draft exemptions for the correction. Ultra-Orthodox Society of Military Exemptions. National Unity. National Unity Party or State Camp is an Israeli political alliance made up of Benny Gantz, Blue and White Party, and Gideon Shar. And National Unity, Benny Gantz, Shas. Shas is a Haredi religious political party founded in 1984. Shas is a Haredi religious political party founded in 1984. Shas is a Haredi religious political party founded in 1984. So there you have it. So it seems that it has concluded. 90 has reported. Oh, now it's went down 97. So it's still ongoing. It's still not 100% total amount of seats. So it's still changing. And the reporting is still reports of the who is going to form the next government. Let's see what's in the news now, as of now. In the news is Netanyahu poised to form right-wing government. How media exposure helped propel Israel's far-right to election triumph. Netanyahu will form extreme right government after Israeli election victory. Far-right triumphs in Israel election, deeply troubling Jewish Americans in Newsweek. Far-right triumph in Israel election, deeply troubling Jewish Americans. The American Jewish groups have spoken out after an election that could see the far-right join an Israeli government. Netanyahu thanks voters as right-wing bloc extends Israeli election lead. Israel's election, 5 takeaways. Election result marks dangerous new turn in Israel's rightward shift. Netanyahu looks set to return to power in Israel for 5th election. Netanyahu says he's on brink of very big victory in Israel elections. Reuters, 20 hours ago. Israeli election 1 day ago from BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. Israeli election, Netanyahu set for comeback with far-right's help, partial results. Israel election, Netanyahu on verge of victory as ultra-nationalist party breaks through. And Netanyahu appears to hold lead in election. Erdogan says he wants to maintain Israel ties regardless of election outcome. Erdogan, Turkey's ruler, President Tayyip Erdogan said on Wednesday he wanted to maintain Turkey's relations with Israel based on mutual understanding, regardless of election outcome in Israel election. Israel's Netanyahu appears poised for comeback. Israel Netanyahu short Israeli victory. We'll see. I guess we'll see how it goes. As a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist, I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. Pro-labor. Going for world peace via the implementation of my Trinity theories. Yours truly, Aiden Hana Dragon and Dragon Sponsor, founder of Dance Guys and Drag King. We're out. Don't forget we consent to hug today. Don't forget we consent to hug today.